What's up people, it's your boy Jatwa and I'm here today to show you how you can quickly build a Luna multiplayer server and also get it configured, and we're going to do this really quickly. So first thing you need to do is go to lunamultiplayer.com. This is going to give you your access to this website here, and you see the address here, lunamultiplayer.com, and you're going to need to download the latest LMP. So let's go ahead and get that going and it'll take you to here. This GitHub page is where you're going to download Luna multiplayer-release unless you are working with the debug. In this instance, we're just going to go for the release version. You can see the different changes of what's been going on down below. So go ahead and click on Luna multiplayer release. This is going to give you the client and the server file. Alright, so now it's done. Let's go ahead and click on this to open it. And let's take a look inside. If you look inside, the first thing you're going to see is an LMP README, and it's going to tell you, hey, by the way, if you're a client, do not put the server in there. If you are a server, for the love of God, put it in a good folder. This is actually really simple. So what you need to do, we're just going to open up another folder here, and we're going to go to here. And I'm going to actually create a new folder. And it's just going to be called server test. Now in here we're going to create a new folder, and we're just going to call this LMP server 1. You can name yours whatever you would like. I'm going to also drag this over to the corner here. It's going to give me this, and we're going to jump over to here. Alright, so now we are basically ready. Let's go ahead and open up our LMP server 1, and this is going to be where we want all of our server files. This is your server. You technically can drag the entire thing over. So let's go back up. We're just going to drag this right on over here. It's going to create you a copy. This does not have to go in your Kerbal Space Program folder. We are going to jump back over to our Kerbal Space Program folder because there is a file. Unfortunately, I moved it out. I will actually go and grab it from my currently running server. So here is our folder that we're working with right now. These are your files. Now there's a configuration that is currently not existing because it hasn't been run yet. So let's go ahead and run this. You may get this message here if you're running Windows. Go ahead and hit more info, run anyway. Just be sure you know what you're running. Okay, you should get this little prompt here for your firewall. I go ahead, hit OK, and it's fine. Okay, so we have our server up and running now. I can actually close this out. Now, if you're on Linux, you can press Control-C. If you are like I am on Windows, that's just not going to work for you. So just go ahead and close, and it'll go through its closing procedures. Now you have some additional files here. Your config file is the one that we are going to pay the most attention to. Your universe is where everything for your current game save is being stored, as far as the different crafts for and the different locations for your crafts. Everything for that is going to go in your universe. That's technically your save file. Plugins, don't worry about that just yet. Logs, well, they're logs. Config is the next important thing we need to do. Now, if you don't have Notepad++, get Notepad++. And here we're going to take a look at a few things. We're going to take a look at connection settings. We're going to take a look at gameplay settings, general settings, and website settings. We're also going to look at warp settings, since I get asked several times about that one as well. Okay, so let's start with general settings. And here you can actually give your server a name. All you need to do that is you'll see you have your start tags, just an XML, and your end tag. If you have Notepad++, it will highlight that for you, which makes it fantastic. You can call this whatever you would like. My generic server. Here you can give your server a description. And here you can actually give it a link. Now I have mine set to my Discord. You can actually go here and set this to whatever you would like. Or you can leave it empty. I'm sorry, this would be what type to display. So this one would be a website, and here you can put whatever you would like in there. This is for the password if you'd like to set a password for your server. I usually don't add one into mine, believe it or not. I do have an admin password, and I'm not telling you. So you have your server model of the day. You can set this to whatever you would like, and it's going to tell you, if you have it like this, it's going to use the name key tag keyword, the server keyword, and the player count of people that are on the server. You can leave that just alone if you would like. It's totally fine. You can set your max players here. I'm just going to highlight these like this for you. You can set your, if you want to enable cheats, I do enable Dekessler, and this is actually set to go every 30 seconds. Dekessler is going to, any parts that are extra, it's going to remove them. So if you detach something from your craft on a stage and it doesn't have a Kerbal and it doesn't have a core in it, it's going to remove it from the game. So it's going to be gone. So if you have a craft that you just landed and you don't have a secondary Kerbal or a core on that craft, you might want to think about your design options. Just keep that in mind. If you're going with Dekessler, you're going to need to either add a Kerbal or add a core. I usually add a core. Alright, this is for Nuke KSC. This is what's going to keep KSC nice, clean, and clear. So if you have a lot of people just dropping parts or old stages around that maybe have a core on there and they're just kind of sitting there, you can actually nuke them and get them out of there. This is how you can toggle on and off cheats. And this is your gameplay difficulty. This is the major thing I get asked about, how to change your game mode. All you have to do is, you see a sandbox, just take this right here, or type it in if you want, and now your game is career mode. I keep my mod control on, true, because if you turn off your mod control, then people can join on with whatever mods they may have. This may sound fantastic, but keep in mind, if someone has a mod that you don't have, you're not going to see their part. You're going to get spammed with messages over and over again saying you can't load that craft because you're missing these parts. Now, that doesn't sound so bad, but after a while, it's going to crash your game. So, best bet is to set that to true, and just ensure that everybody's using the same mods. Terrain quality, I keep this to high because some mods that I use actually call for that. So if you do use default, just remind the people as they jump on or as they attempt to jump on, just to go to their graphics options in Kerbal Space Program and change theirs to either high, low, or default, whatever you have set for your server. And then there's the safety bubble. Safety bubble is how many meters out before your craft can be interacted with other crafts. This will work for the majority of the time unless you're using a mod that adds in an additional launch area, so keep that in mind. Let's jump over to warp settings. Here you can define if you want people to be subspace or no warp at all. Those are your options. I stick with subspace. It works just fine. Website settings, if you are like me and you run multiple servers, you will need to finagle the web ports. I just increment this by 1 each time. Connection settings, I also increment this by 1, and the way I do it is, if I see that I'm going to run an additional server. I just go from 8800 to 8801. Something else I like to do, I like to actually change this MTU. I actually set the MTU as high as I can, and so I'll have this one at 8190, and I also set this to auto expand my MTU as much as it can. This is going to give you a more stable and more fast reacting server, as people oftentimes wonder, how is your connection working so well? Well, this is why. Along with various other techniques and my internet speed, I try to keep everything going as fast as possible. I don't really worry too much about my bandwidth. And then there's gameplay settings. You can actually come here and set all of your particulars for your gameplay. So if you are running Kerbal Space Program in career mode, you may want to go in here and tweak things a bit. You can set indestructible buildings. You can go use other launch sites, re-entry, heat scale, fun game, multipliers. All this is available to you to set. So once you have those set, you can go ahead and save them all, and then go ahead and jump back out of your config folder and again run your server. And you see, this shows you that I did something wrong. You can see right here it's saying if there's an issue with my connection settings XML. So let's take a look at that. And most likely it's the MTU I have set too high. I am known to goof numbers up at times. So let's set this to 8,000. Let's go ahead and close this. Now, if you ever receive an error like that, you can go in here to your logs, and here you can actually take a look at your log and see what happened. And it's going to tell you everything that happened in there. So that's that one, and then there's this one here. This is the one that was telling me there was an error in my connection settings. So let's go ahead and start everything back up and see if that fixed it. Alright, so it looks like we're good to go. So now people can actually load the game and jump into my server. They should have no trouble. Mind you, I did not do any port forwarding. I'm using the master servers. So the way the master servers work, our server is going to ping up to the master server, and then people can just use the server connection button in their game client, and then they can then jump back and it will connect for them. They don't have to type in any IP addresses or anything. Use this option because it's typically better. Now, if you want to expose your IP address out to people, then sure, by all means, go for it. But I would suggest you to use the master servers. It's a great service, and I can definitely vouch for it. It's been working great for me each and every time. Just make sure your servers stay up to date. That is basically it for creating your own server for Luna Multiplayer. I think that covers all the main things. If you have any questions, definitely jump over and ask me. Drop your questions in the comments down below, and I will catch you guys next time.